What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys joining us. It's been a minute and I've got a lot of updates. Today we're going to be going over some match footage from a recent local match that I shot mid-January or so, and review my performance in some detail, really just kind of critique myself as I continue to strive to get better in the sport. Certainly still making a lot of progress, but that's on the menu for today. So we'll go through each stage and check that out. And then I also just shot a major match. I shot the Florida State Championship, certainly the biggest major that I have shot, biggest match period that I've shot. Got a ton of value on that as well, and we'll be hitting that in the next video. Also coming up pretty soon, pretty excited, I got my hands on a Ruger RXM. This is Ruger's new, Gen 3 striker-fired polymer gun in the Glock Gen 3 footprint. And they were kind enough to send me one. So that's a first. Guys, we've entered the getting guns sent to you phase of the channel. I am eager to shoot this, and I'm going to throw a dot on it and take it to the range and put it through the paces and share some thoughts with you guys as I have the opportunity to do that here in the next couple of weeks. So that's all coming up on the channel. But today, let's get started by taking a look at the first stage that I shot at this match. And when you see this footage, you'll see big center screen. That is my first person field of view. You'll see a gun cam locked image in the top right, and then you'll see a third person perspective down in the bottom, which should help us take a look at in some detail at this footage. Let's check it out.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by.
All right, so stage one was honestly one of my it wasn't a great stage. It was my worst stage of the day, but I had a blast shooting it. I'm calling it stage one. It was stage 5 in the match, but this is sequentially the order in which I shot it. So this was my first stage of the day. I have consistently underperformed on my first stage of the day. And in the past, looking at previous footage, my challenge on that first stage is coming out confidently and just shooting aggressively, really at the threshold of my skill level. And I'm always way too timid and way too scared on the first stage. In this instance, I did the exact opposite. I knew that was what I needed to work on coming into the match. And I was like, all right, first stage of the day, I'm going to send it. I'm going to shoot this aggressively. I'm going to shoot it like I know I can shoot it. And unfortunately, that made for some wild shooting. And so I ended up 11th out of 18 in carry optics. I shot 18 alphas, 11 Charlies, a delta, and 2 mics. I identified those mics for you guys in the video. There's one as I'm kind of retreating and engaging on the move on the right side of the field. I just didn't let the dot settle, and I pulled the trigger too early. That's a target focus issue. That's a shooting on the move issue. That's a first stage of the day nerves issue. And then the other one was less egregious, but I put around just barely into the black on a hardcover partial on the left side of the field. Called that one out as well. But despite those, overall, the movement in the stage is what I wanted to accomplish. I was shooting it aggressively, executed my stage plan aggressively, and have those 2 mics to learn from. The only other kind of sequency error I had where there is some evidence of my timidness is on the max trap after, punching the window out at the end of the stage. I obviously should have cleaned all the steel and whatever paper I could before that max trap exposed, because I basically shot the activator and then just stared at my dot on that target on center mass until it was available. And I could have taken it a few seconds early, and that would have saved me some trouble. But 11th out of 18 carry optics. Let's take a look at the next stage. All right, so we went from my best stage of the day to my worst stage of the day, opening up the match, to my best stage of the day, the very next stage. And I think that's a credit to me just identifying problems on the fly and applying the corrections. So the first stage of the day, I was wild. I was out of control. I was shooting beyond my skill level, and I paid for it with 2 mics. Second stage, I shot all alphas. I finished 3 out of 18 in carry optics. That's a pretty good finish at this club for me. There's some great shooters there. And I shot it clean. I think I had 1 makeup shot in there. I was moving a little bit slow. The splits weren't great. I was shooting like 0.25, 0.3 splits throughout the stage. Could certainly like be more aggressive in that, but despite that, still managed to shoot all A's, max out the points, shoot it at an acceptable pace, which put me, in the top 3 for the match. And I think that's representative of where I should be shooting. And now, like, how do I copy paste that performance on other stages so that I can continue to improve? Let's look at the next one. So a speed shoot drill kind of stage for what is stage 1, my third stage today. I finished 7th out of 18 in carry optics, 11 alphas and 5 charlies. I think like it was an acceptable performance for me. I didn't rank particularly well because we've got some like very aggressive speed shooter, kind of like Classifier masters out at this place. But 2 makeup shots on the steel slowed me down quite a bit. Draw wasn't exactly where it should be. I think like the first round, if you go back and watch it, I haven't actually like timed it, but it felt very much like a 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 kind of draw. And I should be getting on the steel a little bit faster. As far as the execution, I was pretty satisfied with it. So like once I started knocking down the steel, I managed to get through it pretty quickly, despite the 1 makeup on the plate rack itself. But the movement from left to right, like, moved super aggressively and had the gun up and in position ready to start knocking down the paper. Once I landed over there, I fired 1 makeup on the paper. And if you listen to my splits throughout that paper, like sure, definitely could have gone up faster. I don't split the gun very fast in general. Some of it's a skill issue. A lot of it's a skill issue. Some of it's, I'm shooting a stock trigger in a polymer striker gun. So like it's only going to split so fast. So I could have split the gun faster for sure. But what was true is it sounded like 1 string of fire all the way through. So like splits on the first target and the transition splits on the second target all sounded quite similar. Transitions were clean through the paper. And overall, like, despite not finishing near the top of the field at 7 of 18, like what we see here is me shooting at about as good as I can shoot. You could roll the dice and maybe I score a few more A's on the paper in another universe, but in reality, like an average performance from me is probably what we observed on this stage. Let's look at the next one. All right, so the next stage was a Classifier. It's a 24 series Classifier called Thrill of the Bill Drill. I got 10th out of 18 in carry optics, 16 alphas, and 2 charlies. It is a 3-string course of fire. First string is a Bill Drill on the left target. Second string Bill is 3 rounds reload, 3 rounds on the center target. And then the final string is 3 rounds reload, strong hand only, 3 rounds on the far right target. 16 alphas and 2 charlies. The lesson learned here is like I shot it okay. Botched a draw on the 3rd string of fire, botched a reload on the 3rd string of fire. I think both of my charlies came on that 3rd string of fire. The lesson here is like, I need from a sport perspective to look at a stage and analyze it and be like, hey, this is a high hit factor stage. And we got to just send it. It's a Classifier. It's a speed shoot. It's a high hit factor stage. And I shot it extremely conservatively. I've got plenty of videos that I've shared with you guys of shooting like all 1.8, 1.9 second bill drills pretty comfortably at about this distance. I know that I can do that. But for some reason I slowed down and I shot slow splits and I was just like dot press, over confirming in each string of fire. And just, I should have burned it down and I should have accepted half A's and half C's in this particular drill and got the higher hit factor result that would have occurred had I done that. And then the other thing, botching the draw, I was using my gamer belt setup for the first time. I'll go over that at some point in the future, but I got a double alpha ratchet belt. I'm loving it, but it's just different than what I'm accustomed to. And this was my first match doing that. I dry fired the hell out of it, of course, but there's still some adjustment there with the holster. No excuse for fumbling the reload. That was sloppy. Vision got lazy, and I'm sure I took my eyes off the mag well rather than watching that mag go home. And I was worried about getting back up on the target because I was going to my strong hand only. I suck at shooting one-handed. I am getting better at it, but this time it caused me to distract myself and botch the mag change. Got back up on target. And then I had trouble finding my dots. My index one-handed was trashed there off the first shot. Lost the dot again after the recoil from the first shot. Had to find the dot again. Luckily, the 3rd shot was clean. And I'm pretty sure those one-handed shots were 3 A's. And so crap stage for me. Not my worst of the day, in my opinion. Maybe my worst ranking stage of the day. But no mics and, whatever. I got to shoot more aggressively on speed shoots is the takeaway from that stage. Let's look at the next one.
Right.
All right, stage 3 was a very fun stage. I love the stage design. It was fun to shoot. I didn't perform great. 9 out of 18 in carry optics, 20 A's and 7 C's. This was the only stage of the day that I got lost on. I got lost for just a moment. Something we've been talking about over and over again here as I've kind of progressed in this sport is the stage planning aspect and the memorization, maximizing the efficiency of my walkthrough to program a plan and be prepared to execute it, visualize that plan, and then press play and let the plan run whenever the tone goes off. So today we did see a hiccup in this stage with respect to the stage planning and execution portion. I got a little bit off kilter because I missed that popper on the left side of the field and had to make it up. So that kind of like threw me for a loop early in the stage. Simple error, just a lack of visual discipline. Should have certainly taken that popper on the first shot. Move forward, clean the first array, move over, clean the first array, come forward and left to clean up the remaining targets. And that's when I engaged another target twice. So there was one target on the field that had 4 holes in it because, again, that was where I kind of got lost, had that failure to execute and, just made an error. So between the makeup on the steal, sitting an extra 2 rounds from that third position, I mean, we're talking like 3-4 seconds just there probably. And then as I moved down the alleyway in the shooting lane towards the end of the stage, I was satisfied with my performance on the left side, quick transition over the right side. That was all gravy. And as I entered the last position, it didn't cost me much time. But again, you can see the evidence that I was lost there because I got sucked into the center rather than remembering that there was a partial behind the barrels at the very end of the stage. So that's just evidence that I was a little lost. I was a little thrown off on that stage. But overall, like an acceptable performance, kind of where I expect to land at a match like this. Center mass and carry optics, shooting 20 A's, 7 C's. Like that's unfortunately about right until I continue to improve. Let's look at the next one.
Finish and load and show clear.
This stage was a lot of fun. Maybe the most fun stage of the day, maybe. Only because I did a little bit better than where we started at the beginning of the match. Finished 6 out of 18 in carry optics, 21 alphas, and 7 charlies. What I would say is like this was one of the more complex stages, and I executed it well. Not talking marksmanship or speed, but like simply remembering my stage plan, executing it pretty seamlessly. I would say that we had a strange start position with like hands on the table there at the beginning, had to come, get the gun out at kind of a weird angle, clean some targets in the center of the field before transitioning over to the right side. And then from the right side of the field, it was kind of like a technical array there because there was a hidden target beyond the hard cover to my front that I had to lean, and I worked that lean in deliberately at the end. So I, on entry, took the target that was naturally in front of me, transitioned over, was able to take 2 targets through the window, and then had to execute the lean to knock out the last target. Some folks did choose to move all the way to the front of that box and take the targets closer. I kind of like in my walkthrough, I was like, you know what? I think this is the most efficient way to shoot the stage. Not the easiest, certainly, but the most efficient way. So I'm going to try this. And I think it did save me some time. It bumped me up a little bit in the standings. The one error I very clearly made was as I transitioned from the right side of the field to the left side of the field. It was kind of a bizarre space. I was stepping over like the shooting boxes themselves. There's like a table in the way. There was hard cover, like the walls to my front. So it was kind of like a weird position to be in. I broke my grip, had like a delayed reload where I was like, oh crap, I plan to reload at this point, so I need to reload. The reload was just slow. My movement was not aggressive. And then you can see as I arrive in that position on the left side of the field, finally, I don't have both hands on the gun. It takes a second for the gun to come up. So had I launched out of that position aggressively, moving aggressively while simultaneously executing an aggressive reload, I would have accomplished those things faster, and I would have completed the reload in time to get both hands back on the gun and have the gun presented and on target when I arrive to the left side of the field. And that would have saved me, I don't know, quarter second, half second, something like that. And I would have looked less stupid, which is also important in competitive shooting. It was a hell of a match, boys. I had a blast. I love going out to this place. I shoot this match every month. I know you guys often are in the comments and you recognize this place, so I look forward to seeing some of you guys out there, and you can make me look bad and do better than me. I look forward to learning from you guys. But this whole thing has been fun. I am loving the sport. We're coming up on like close to a year. I guess it's been like 8-10 months or so since I shot my first match. I'm progressing a ton. I ranked up in my classification at my most recent major. We'll talk about that in the next video. So it's getting exciting. It's getting exciting. I'm enjoying it. I'm obsessed. Got a big class actually booked with a high level shooter coming up. We'll discuss that in a future video as well. But thank you guys for stopping by. I look forward to reading your comments. I know that you will do so in good faith, and I look forward to talking to you there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.